A kidnap syndicate has been apprehended by the tactical team of the Lagos State Police Command in Ikorodu over the kidnap of a friend for ransom. In their course of action, the victim was murdered. The suspect, however, confessed to the crime while being interrogated by the police.
What brought us here is we are suspects to a kidnapping and murder case, which we were arrested by a professional anti-kidnapping squad, as I say. So the way the whole thing happened, the entire thing, the way it happened, if I should explain from A to Z, the victim, which is my associate's old-time school friend, they were, as we wanted to bring the guy to my own apartment. So we tried to convince him, and the guy, the first time we attempted to bring him, we sent him transport to come, and then he said he was coming on the. We actually wanted to kidnap him, have him kidnap and demand ransom from his parents. And then my friend.
Whose idea was that? Your idea or his idea?
It was his idea. Why it was his idea was, if I had someone to bring, I will. But the guy the victim was his own idea, because they were the one that knew each other from past. So he told me, he said the family is from the guy is from a very rich family that they can bring up to 200 million naira. Which I said, okay, if you think 200 million is sure, which I said 200 million is a bit much, but how about if you are very sure of 200 million? How about we cut it down to 150? He said, okay, but that's no problem. So then we tried to bring the guy again. This time we said the guy should come and pick up a laptop to use and do work and all that, because I'm a producer, and we said he should come and pick up a laptop he can be using, which was all a lie. We never had a laptop we were willing to give him. We just wanted to lure him to come. So before he came, we went out to buy a big Ghana must go, and we bought chains and padlocks. So when the guy was coming, we already had a cutlass in the house, and my associate, which is the victim's friend, his own weapon was a stick that he had nails nailed on to it. So when
So you all planned to kill him?
Yes, we both did. But at first the intention wasn't to kill him, but I will say everything how we led to killing him. So when the victim came to the house, my associate, being his old-time friend, welcomed him, and they talked about how they used to be together in army cantonment together. So while they were talking, myself and my associate, we were chatting on WhatsApp, talking about how we would make everything go right that day. So myself and my associate agreed that I should go inside, and our music was playing. We were playing music, loud music that day. So myself and my associate agreed that I go inside and bring out our weapons, which mine was a cutlass and his was a stick that had nails on it. So when I came out, my own job that day was to, say words to scare the victim and, put fear in his body, to inject fear in his body. At first, we were both scared and panicking too, but then when we noticed that we were successfully injecting fear to the victim's body, we became like more in control. And then I started saying words like, there's a way you behave and act that you leave this place successfully, and there's also a way you act and you never leave this place. And then when I told the victim to sit on the ground, which he did. And then his old-time friend, being my associate, told him to sit down. Then I told my associate, which was his own job, put the chain to his leg and put the padlocks and everything. So when we had him chained to the ground, we made videos and took pictures of him, which was intended to send to his family. And then when we made the whole video, my associate called me inside the room, and he told me, he said, Tony, we have all the videos and the pictures we need now. But as I mentioned, this guy is a friend of mine from long years back, and he knows me, he knows my auntie, he knows everything about me, he knows my family, which if we let him go, he will definitely bring his people to and that will leave a trace to him, and if they have a trace to him, will also implicate myself, Anthony. So he said we should silence him, which means we should kill him, that we should not let him go. So now when we've said, oh, okay, that's thoughtful, and then he said we should go and kill him. Then we both went inside, then he turned the light off. That is my associate. Then after he turned the light off, I went to the back, I went behind the victim, and I held him from behind him. I choked him. And then I held him to around a minute, and I was feeling tired already, but he was still alive, but I was feeling tired. So I told my associate, that is the victim's friend, to hold him, to continue the choking, to hold him. So when he did, and the guy, we noticed that the guy is quiet already, which he was confirmed dead. So we had rope, which we used to tie the victim because he was too heavy, because he's not someone we can just lift and dispose. So we decided to tie him and put in a in the Ghana must go bag we bought earlier.
So how were you able to put him in the Ghana must go bag?
Yeah, we had him tied, like we fold him and tied him so that it will fit in the bag. So when we successfully put him in, it wasn't easy putting him in the bag, but we did because we were two. So we were able to put him in the bag and zip him. And then when we did that, we planned on, we thought of a few places we can go dispose him, which we said we are not very familiar with this place. If we go there, we don't know, maybe we might meet securities or people like that. So we said we should go to a more familiar road that we already know. So when we agreed on a place that we are more familiar with, so myself and my associate, we lifted the bag and placed it on my associate head, and then he lifted the bag and took it outside our compound. That is the entrance. We had no gate, so he took it outside. That was around. I'm not very sure of the time, but I'll say with the way the weather is, I'll say.
Who is this associate?
This is my
Okay, great.
So when he placed the bag on his head and brought it out, so my associate said it wouldn't be okay if we went with just this bag. How about we go with like our working tools, which is my microphone and headset and maybe just backpacks, because I do music production. So he said if we had those things carried along to people it will look like we are going for a regular outside job. So which we did. And then when he placed the bag containing the victim and also our studio working tools, he told me to wait there while he went to bring bikemen to come pick up the Ghana must go and the rest things. So when he went out there and he brought 2 bikes, and then we both lifted the bag containing the victim. We lifted the bag and placed the bag on the bike, making sure that it doesn't touch the bike man's back. So as we placed the bag on the bike, we left a space in between the bag and the bike man, so I could sit in between the bag and the bike man, so I can just try controlling the bag while he drove off. So when he was riding the bike off himself, that is my associate, he took his own bag, and which were containing just clothes and were not really anything, and my microphone stand, and so making it look like we're going for an outside job. Then we got to the place where we wanted to dispose him. We looked around, making sure nobody was coming and that no other bikes were coming, because my place where I rented an apartment is a remote area, that it's like an outskirts. So when we got there and we watched carefully, making sure nobody was coming, when there was nobody, we dragged the bag into the bush and unzipped it and poured out the victim there. So the next day,
At that time, you could confirm that he was dead, and which location did you dispose him of? What time?
I'm not sure of the time. But I should say around 8, 9, 10 p.m. So when we disposed him, we poured him out of the bag, and then we took the sack and put it inside one of the bags we were carrying, and we returned it back home. So the next morning, I called my dad and said I was coming to his place, and I told my dad to send me 15,000 naira for transport that both of us can get there, because his family and my family, they lived in the same area, because we were born and raised in the same area, so our families are not far from each other. So we went back home. So we
Hold on. How about the money, the ransom?
I'm getting there. So after he told us, because he assured me that this family is a very rich family and they could provide up to 200 million, which I said that is a long money, but if you are very sure, how about we cut it to 150? So when we got to Ikorodu, being our family's place, I called the victim's family with the victim's number, and then I told them I was driving, because that night they were calling the victim, like trying to ask him where he was and all that. So, but I didn't pick. But when I called, I told them I didn't pick because I was driving to Bayelsa. I told them I was driving to Bayelsa, which was all a lie. And then when I told the person I was driving to Bayelsa, then I demanded the ransom of 150 million, which my associate told me they were able to provide. That was when the victim's mother picked the call. So she begged us and was like, okay, how about she brings 50 million? So immediately she said, how about she brings 50 million? My associate ended the call and told me, and he said, didn't I tell you this family is so rich? I told you they were so rich and they could provide this money. But why she said 50 was because maybe she doesn't want to go far at first. She just wants to, maybe price in and all that. So I said, okay. He said they can, let's not worry. Then I called again, but this time was the victim's sister, telling us that our mother only made mention of that 50 million out of fear that when someone asks you for 150, that how can you possibly say you don't have it, or you want to say you have one out of 150. So she then told me that even her mom now, the fear and the panicking has made them take her to the hospital. So the girl herself was not like, okay, how about she herself provide 5 million naira, which I told my associate, and then my associate told me, he said, no, that they are just trying to play games with us. And I said, are you sure about this? Then I started seeing myself, I started seeing signs that this family aren't really rich as he claimed. So as they said, she said 5 million naira. I said, oh, okay. At first we kicked out that now we don't do that. That even if she was going to do the 5 million naira, it was nothing to us. That so then I called her and I generated this account that they were accounts that to receive money. They are the kinds of account that when you want to use them to receive money, you have 15 minutes time frame to send money to it. If you don't, within that 15-minute time frame, the account will be shut down. So I sent them the first account and she said, oh, okay, she cannot send the 5 million now, that she doesn't have it. So the account got shut down. Then she said she will bring 3. My associate said these people are just trying to play games with us. That I said, but at least with that 3, if we even add 1.5 to each other, I can still use 1.5 to open a hairdressing shop for my sister, because she's a hairdresser. She learned hairdresser, but she's working as house help from places to places. So I thought I could, with 1.5 I could open a hairdresser shop for her.
So in a short, were you able to get the money, and how much were you able to get?
Okay, to cut the whole thing short, after buying a lot of time from us, the victim's family buying a lot of times from us, she then agreed that, okay, all she had with her, that she had spent money on her mother, which she said was in the hospital. So she then said all she had was 200,000, which I said, even the 200,000, you are sending it for me to buy fuel to come all the way from Bayelsa back to Lagos. So she said, okay, she'll send it 200,000. And this time I was unable to get another account that, that type of account that dies in 15 minutes. But this time I picked the phone and called my associate, my friend, that, okay, they said they want to send 200,000, but he didn't pick because the phone didn't go through. So I thought, since she wanted to send the money now, I wouldn't let that be a delay, because I wanted to call him so we can go together in search of POS to receive the money. So he didn't pick, so I thought I should go alone. So when I went out alone to Itamaga bus stop to get is it okay that I mention names of places? Okay, so when I got to the bus stop and I got the POS, and the victim's family already told me that the 200k she's sending, she can only send to an OPay account, which I said, okay. And I got to the POS, I asked her, do you have OPay account? She said, yes. I said, can I get 100,000 naira cash from you? She said, sure. Okay, I gave the victim's family the account number and they sent the first 100. So I then asked the POS lady again, that, how about, can I still get another 100? She said, yeah, sure. Then I told the victim to send another 100 to that particular account, which she did. So when she sent the other 100, I got home and I picked the phone to call my friend to tell him that they've sent 200. But when I called, his phone still didn't go through. That was the night I think he got caught, or maybe all the time I was calling, maybe he was already caught. So as I was at home I was just around the corner pressing my phone, and then I saw this jeep coming to. So at first I wondered. I said, all my life here I've not seen this kind of jeep come this place. But then I felt like.
So you were arrested there?
Yes, then they come outside and they pretended to ask for directions from me, not knowing that they wanted to catch me. So when they caught me, they brought me to my apartment and they shot my leg, and then then a lot of people ask me, they say that I've met a few people around, maybe in the station, and then a few people that come around telling me that I don't talk remorsefully about, like, I don't feel sad about it. Yes, I feel so sad about it, but the truth is, there are times when you feel like you don't deserve mercy and you don't even deserve pardon from
I
people.
mean, what's next for you now? Because clearly you seem to be very educated. Why would you go into this kind of plan? I mean,
Okay,
what were your plans really for
okay,
150 million? Let's see that actually happen.
okay.
In just a minute, sorry.
Okay, let's when I got home, I told my dad. I told my dad. My dad is a very old man. I told him that because my dad, he sells firewood, he breaks wood and sells, and his own mom, she sells fufu. So we were like, I told my dad, I said I wanted to build him a house in Delta State, and that my mom, I wanted her to, and my sister, I wanted her to stop working as a house help everywhere. And my elder brother too is working at, we are from a very poor family. So
Are you the last one? Are you the first
yes,
one?
I'm the last born.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay.
So what the first thing that brought the whole thinking was, at least I will build a house for my dad, and it will stop cutting wood and sell, and we can maybe, I'll have my sister our hairdressing shop, and
How do you feel about all this now? Because it looks like, me. What next for you? What hold it for you?
I feel so sad about it, but I believe God should forgive us. God should forgive us because we've killed. So I believe God should forgive us. I wish the money came, the 150,000. My mom is very poor. She always sell fufu. So I just like I should open a business, and me also I should go to school because I stopped my school at SS2. So I just like me, so I should go back to school and start living my own life.
What do you guys want the government to do right now? Because this is not a very small case.
this
Please,
is a
they
very
should forgive
this
us.
is a very big case.
They
and
should forgive us. And if they can get me a work if they can put me any work that should be doing to give me little change, I'll be
How old
appreciated.
are you?
I'm